What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a pretty interesting Alien Isolation 2 leak. Now, I want it to be true. I can't promise it, right? I think specifically where this kind of comes from, the lack of like a backing to it, I think is like a pretty big part to it. We've heard about an Alien Isolation 2 before. There's been, I actually went back in my own video catalog. I've made 2 videos on it. I think the first one could have been around 2021 or so. So a while ago, about 3 or so years ago, but I remember it. I remember reading it and us talking about it. And I think people want it. I really believe people would support and would get an Alien Isolation 2. I think it would be a good idea. You got the movie coming out, I believe, this upcoming Friday, right? So it's a good time, but let me just throw this out before we actually read the leak, right? This is also a good time to, like, jump on the bandwagon, right? Like, if you're trying to get your name out there. Granted, we don't really know. I mean, we know, like, the user that posted this, but that's kind of it. This is a good time to make something up and kind of ride the wave. You know what I mean? Because the movie's coming out, you know this stuff would kind of be more popular. But, you know, again, to be fair, I do want this to happen, and it doesn't sound unbelievable. It sounds kind of almost perfect, right? Of like, oh, everything's kind of lining up. But, you know, you could look at that 2 different ways, right? Maybe it's a little too perfect. So let's go over this. It came from the Gaming Leaks and Rumors Reddit, right? And this didn't come from like 4chan or everything. I mean, it was just a user, right? Eric is their name. And hey, everyone, I just learned some info from a former Creative Assembly developer I met in a tech layoff community. Here's the scoop from our conversation. Alien Isolation 2 is 3 years into development. It continues Amanda's journey, ignoring the events of Alien Blackout. Movie tie-ins. With the recent hype around Alien Romulus, the game is expected to be announced soon. The movie includes multiple references and Easter eggs from Isolation, and the director wants to create a sequel integrating more of Amanda's storylines. The 10-year anniversary treats in an official VR release and a remastered version of the original game are in the works to celebrate its anniversary. Both games were outsourced by 20th Century Studios. Creative Assembly is not directly involved in these, and the big reveal, the sequel, remaster, and VR game are likely to be announced together around the October anniversary with a possible teaser at Gamescom. The remaster should arrive near the 10-year mark. The VR game is expected in 2025 to avoid competing with Rogue Incursion, and the sequel in 2026. The team has also hinted this on Twitter. So again, I mean, it's kind of perfect, right? Like, you have a VR experience, you're remastering the first game. Now, like, none of it sounds insane. That's the thing. Like, it all sounds like it's lining up, but none of it, I guess, on its own is all that crazy. The craziest thing could maybe just be the origin, right? They met it from a former employee at, like, a tech thing, right? Or they say specifically tech layoff community. And it's like, is that possible? Yes. But, like, does that scream to you as much as it screams to me? You know, the janitor walking by the office and they see a whiteboard, you know, with the name, like, Uncharted 5. And they, oh, my God, Sony's making Uncharted 5. You know, doesn't it sound something like that, right? Or my brother's, you know, mom's girlfriend, you know, or her ex works at Insomniac and they're working on this game. Those kind of startups, you know what I mean? Like, how you introduce the origin story for these people, the more ridiculous they are. And I mean, okay, I was exaggerating, but this one, it's a little reaching, right? That's probably the thing that kind of tips you off the most. Is it weird or is it like crazy to assume that they wouldn't try to do a 10-year remaster thing? No, I mean, you're seeing, look at Until Dawn that's coming out, you know, this year. Look at Dead Space did it, Last of Us Part 2. You know, you can be 10 years old, you can be freaking 5 years old, and they'll still remaster some of these games, right? But, you know, 10 years does seem to be, you know, Until Dawn is 9. Dead Space was a little bit older. The Last of Us, I think when they did that remake, that was maybe 10 or 9 years old. So, you know, around that decade mark is kind of when you normally get the, you know, the push to do it. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if even separate from this, right? Even if this rumor or leak is not true, I would not be shocked if we got an Alien Isolation remaster in the next year or two. Like, that sounds, you know, potentially accurate. And even the sequel, like the sequel being 2026. Look, if that original leak was right, so say they started this thing in 2020, 2021, Yeah, it's 5 years. It's a while, but I mean, that's about the length of time it takes to make a game. Even a game that's a little bit more linear, right? We're not talking about a massive open world, but 4 or 5 years is kind of the average. So again, like that's not insane. You know what I mean? Like if it was releasing next month, right? Something like that. I guess, they say sometime around October with a tease being at Gamescom. So like Gamescom is in like a week and a half. You know what I mean? I guess you can start to really say you believe this or not. I mean, okay, well, if we get something at Gamescom, of course we would believe it, right? But that would really be the first test. Do we get anything Alien Isolation, or just Alien, let's just say that, right? Do you get anything at Gamescom? I'm going to say, just for my own sake, and my own sake meaning, like, I don't want to get my expectations too high, I'm going to assume these things are fake until they're proven to be true. Now, you can do whatever you want. Don't let me stop you or bring you down from getting excited about a potential sequel. Truly, like, you do you. But for me, again, like there are a couple things that are a little like not alarming, but like you pay attention to them, right? Where it's like, maybe something's off here. And ultimately, if it's not true and I believe that it is, right? Like I'm just going to be let down. So for now, I'll kind of believe that it's all just fake. And then, hey, if we get something, we get something. That'd be exciting. I think the Alien Isolation did well, like across sales and kind of reception. So I don't know why we haven't gotten a sequel in 9 years since, but, or maybe, I think did that game come out in 2016? Maybe it did. So, it's been 8 years. I don't know why we haven't already, like years ago, they probably should have already done it, but it is what it is, and here we are. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.